Here we are. Thank you so much, Dylan, for being here. I'm super happy to have you. I know that you are a music producer, creative director, and you have managed music for Oscars, Bomb Up TV, MTV, Netflix, and many others. Let's dive in what is Smash House, this platform for independent artists.
Yeah, so I built Smash House back in. First of all, good morning. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Okay, of course, no
Good.
worries.
We had some technical difficulties, but we figured it all out. So
Yes,
here we
we are
are.
in.
Yeah, Smash House is basically it's a two-sided marketplace. So we've got large media companies looking for music, and we've got music makers looking to get in with large media companies. So we work with a lot of the big, Sony and Universal and Disney and Warner. But we also work with independent production companies. So the history of it is I started it back in 2008.
Yeah, really.
Which is a long time ago. In its earliest version, which was like as a middleman basically. So they basically I was composing all the time. I ran out of bandwidth. I wanted to figure out how to do more shows so that I, could make more money, of course. And so I built tech so that I could find musicians that weren't working full time to help fill in the slots that I couldn't fill in. So I would do a show and I'd pick like, okay, this is an important piece of music, this important piece, but the other stuff's just underscore where, you could probably 6 different things could work. So people would score couple of different versions of those. So I would be scoring my shows and then just throwing music in. If this is good for me, maybe it's good for companies too. And we then went and embedded in post-production facilities in Hollywood and started working on all these different shows, some of which you named, American Idol and the Oscars and all these different shows. And we did that for many, many years. When the pandemic hit, I had kind of wound it down by then because all these other people got into my space and started taking in that world. And, I was showing up at places where they used to be like, oh, the music guy. And now they're like, oh. So I basically relaunched the platform during the pandemic and rebuilt the tech to allow companies to do what I was doing, but directly to creators. Because I think the only way to beat, sort of the abuse of middlemen and working through them is to work directly. But the only way to do at any level of scale is to have the efficiency of just content first. Like, I want what I want, send it to me. If it works, then I'll contact you, right? And that allowed companies to not just get totally overwhelmed with, 20, 30, 40 different people sending them something, and that became very efficient. And so where we're at now is pretty much any company that is not a middleman. And by the way, middlemen doesn't include, or intermediaries doesn't include service people, like people that are agents. Mm-hmm. It's just companies that take the content and resell it without paying for it.
Yes.
So any company that's got anything going on, that we sort of vet the companies. I mean, we vet the companies, and they've got to be a legitimate company. They've got to be morally sound, and they are paying for the music or licensing the music or bringing some sort of immediate value to the creators.
It's really insane. In fact, how does Smash House work between creators and companies?
Yeah, so basically what companies want is they want quality music that fits their brief, whatever it is, right? So we allow musicians to upload their music and then go to the job board and submit that music to the job. We then quality filter it. The best shows up first. All the music goes forward, but the best shows up first. And usually it's not subjective, like genre based, or if I hate opera, I'm going to say it's not that good.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Production quality is good. It goes up top. And then when the companies go in, they can grab, they just see that it's best production. They can grab what they want, add it to playlists. They can add those composers to teams and then give those composers just jobs directly. And I say composers, but we deal with everybody from bands to artists to, because all the companies that are on there include everything from radio to production to film and television, sync and commercials, and just,
everyone. It's very amazing. I mean, the fact that there is such value around. I mean, for music and also for the companies. I think. When did you understand that the industry needs something like Smash House or something like this?
First of all, we did really well with the first company, and our musicians did really well. We gave 50% of everything we made to the musicians, right? And I realized that there was a lot of competition now that was taking advantage of musicians. You know, they say they were giving them 50%, but in fact, they had a clause that recouped 30%. And then then they were giving music away to get, you know, share of the market. Then they'd sell their companies and make a bunch of money. And the musicians would be like, what? What just happened? I literally gave them a fleet of inventory that they just resold, and I got no benefit from that. And so I built it, one, because I didn't want to be a middleman anymore. And I also didn't like the abuses of these other middlemen. And I thought the only way to make a platform that's most relevant to artists is to remove the need for middlemen. That's the only way you beat them, right? And
Yes, yes,
so I'm building it at the top down. So I'm working with the largest media companies in Hollywood to most of them to work from the top down, which is, hey, why are you working with all these middle people when they own the assets, they own the creators? Why don't you work directly with the creators through our platform the most efficient way? And then these assets, you can negotiate your deals. Maybe it's something you put into your own internal music catalog at Warner or Disney or whatever these huge conglomerates are that own all the sub companies, and then use it as a preferred asset so that they get more usage and make more money, and there's no middleman taking half of their money. And you have assets that better your bottom line, so your shareholders are happy, right? Yeah, that's why I did it. I did it, one, because I was angry about being, taken advantage of myself. Even though I own Smash House, I also worked through many different people on my, as a composer on my own. Yeah.
yeah.
So I did it to be disruptive.
No, yeah, it's very. I think I was thinking about that. It's a very smart decision, this one, to look up what an independent artist needs, and to try to figure out what's the best for independent artists and companies. I think. Let's say, how do you imagine the music and cinema industry in from now on in 10 years, and also how do you think Smash House will be the best fit for artists and music industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the industry is changing for the better for content creators because we had pretty antiquated ways of tracking our revenue before, and now we have a lot more transparency. And I even think that even though AI is apparently looks like it's something that's going to saturate the market with a bunch of fake content, which it did, but now the industry is pushing back. You are going to be able to use tools to enhance your productivity to create things, and I'm all for that. You can work faster and smarter using a machine brain, great, as long as they're not creating it all for you, right? But I think that the tracking is going to be a lot more robust. Yeah, we've got blockchain that'll make rights and usage rights and things very transparent and automated. So you and I can collaborate on a track. It's on the blockchain. We can see very clearly it's there. We both agreed to it. Now everybody knows. And it's a centralized thing everybody can see. I think that's going to revolutionize PROs, for instance, performing rights organizations, the people that collect the money for sync and radio, mechanicals, all of it. So a lot of laws are getting passed too, because quite honestly, the tech industry's destroyed the revenue stream of the music industry in a lot of ways. The good side is it opened up a lot more opportunities for people that never had them, even if they were low paying.
Yeah.
From the bottom, because we've hit the bottom. I mean, we hit the bottom with Napster, and now we're hitting the bottom of the bottom. And by the way, I've never worked in the label system. I'm not a record label guy. I'm not in the label mafia. You guys, I'm a producer, so.
Yeah, yeah. It's really good to hear this one, and you already anticipated my question about AI intelligence, because you have talked about the pro and cons of AI intelligence, so how this can work for the artists or not. But talking about the perception of the present and future, discussing the traditional musical process and making music, do you think it will be more or less advantages in the music industry?
More or less advantages for who?
For artists and composers that doing some scores for the media companies.
More advantages. I mean, I think that we have the advantages we make for ourselves. Certainly, we have enough tools to put out your music, market it, do all kinds of collaborations. There's all this interactivity, interconnectivity that you can use to your advantage. Problem is, not all musicians are marketing people or strategists. They're just some are just good at music. They don't want to market. They don't, you know. Um, but I think that we're coming into an era where it's going to be the best era for content. I think that there's no escaping AI, and I think that you have to learn how to harness it. I think there's two things popping up in the industry. One I'm on on this side of, and then there's the irresponsible
Yeah.
use of AI. There's companies out there that are making millions of songs, and I've been approached. By the way, I've been approached for the last 12 years by companies that say I can create 200,000 songs and you can keep all the publishing and put them in all your shows. And I said, hell no, because I'm not going to kill the life of all my friends and family and all my, no, why would I, just to get rich and pursue in the arts? No, I'm good. Um, so responsible AI is going to be, you have to find the right
Yes.
people, the people that you trust. These companies is to make as much money as they can. Some responsible owners
Yes.
are happy to make less. I've showed in my career I was happy to make less to do the right thing. Like sometimes it's like, maybe you should have, but no. So we're building some responsible AI tools, things to help extend content. So one piece of content can be made into multiple versions of content, but not automatically. You have to take your stems, you have to work with the things, but you have AI supporting that process. It's pretty cool. When we launch it, hopefully next year,
Wow.
it's going to blow your mind.
It's very cool. We know that there are these AI intelligence, new technologies talking about, in fact, about the present. What do you think about the musical product in Dolby Atmos that some companies decides to provide for the artist project? Artists like The Weeknd, maybe. What do you think about this technology in the Dolby Atmos?
Well, I'm a co-owner of a Dolby Atmos stage in Hollywood, so I'm biased. I think it's
No.
great. I think that there's multiple ways to consume work. You can go to a movie theater, or you can go to an Omnidome, or you can go watch a laser show on the side of a huge LED bubble in Las Vegas right now, right? To me, Dolby Atmos is just an extension of the audio experience. It's more speakers, more listening points. It doesn't always lend well to music. In fact, it takes a lot of the impact out of music when you spread things around because it's not in front of
All
you
these
like this.
speakers around. And
It's a different experience. So I don't think there's a wrong or right
okay,
to it.
okay,
It's
that's
just a
cool.
different experience.
And how much is important for you to make network and video content on social today for artists and people who want to join the game in the network?
I mean, it depends on what kind of artist you are. It's an up-to-date website. Okay, what are their socials? If you're in advertising in any way, shape, or form, you're going to have an advantage if you have a large social media following. Period. I don't care if you're a model and you've got 10 million followers, and then you're a model just as good looking who has 600. You're going to get the 6 million person's going to get hired. Period. Right? It's a different level of validation and influence.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I think it's extremely important. I mean, the more you put out, I mean, the more successful people I know put a lot of content out.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't, I try, but you have to have a full time team or something. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There are some independent artists that chose that path to not doing so much content on socials. And I think it's a bad way today because I think the future is there today. Making content, making networks, talk to the
Yeah.
people. In your opinion, how is the American music industry different from the European market in the entertainment field?
Well, I've worked extensively in the Nordic regions, but not so much in the rest of the European, like directly. But what I know from my experience in that neck of the woods is that there's a lot more localism, regionalism. You can go to Denmark, and the biggest bands in Denmark
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
Danish bands. They don't care at all about those Danish bands. They sing in Danish. I think that there's a lot of music that transcends, obviously, music out of America and out of Canada. Seems to be very global. We are starting to get a lot more world music here. We're getting a lot more
Yeah, yeah.
ragatone, and we're getting amapiano, and we've always had European music. We've always had house and trance and all these different things that come out of
Hmm.
Germany, and we've always, some of our biggest, most beloved bands here are bands
Yeah,
like
yeah,
U2
yeah,
and
yeah.
Rolling Stones.
Period.
Yeah. So it's different in the sense that I think that it's all very similar in form and function, but there's different musical sensibilities. You go to Finland, they're not so much
Hmm.
Drake. However, there's a lot of
Yeah.
prog rock and like heavy metal and stuff that you don't necessarily. I'm from Seattle, so up north it's and everything's live, top D tuning because it's miserable weather. You go to LA and it's like, Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I think that all over the world has different sensibilities for what they're dealing with,
Yeah, yeah.
weather-wise, culture-wise, financial stability.
So for you, is having a record deal still important for an artist?
Yes, and I hate to say that, but I think that they still have a chokehold on the Spotifys of the world
Mm.
and the rapid growth mechanisms because there's still a lot of, dare I say it,
Hmm.
favoritism. But yeah, I think that, I just love them or hate them. I'm interested in weird people, and I just watched the Kanye West documentary, which I'm not a huge fan of Kanye West, but I was curious, who is this guy, right? When he got a record deal, all of a sudden you're
Hmm.
opening with a show with Jay-Z,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you're in front of 50,000 people a night. Yeah, it helps. Because it's very hard as an independent artist to build up to getting in front of 50,000 people on a stage. But you pay the price. You pay about 98% after you recoup the millions
Yeah,
or whatever
definitely,
that they
definitely.
recoup to pay for their secretaries' donuts and everything else that they write off.
When you're in the studio, what is the most important attitude that a musician or an artist should have when he's with a sound engineer and he's making an album?
Um, I think that again, it's so subjective. Certain artists are different. Um, for me, it's important that I'm clear with my vision and I don't get swayed by someone else. I get swayed by the good ideas, but the ideas I don't agree with, I don't let happen. But I think that when you walk in the room,
Hmm.
you have to say, look, this is my vision, and you're an instrument that I'm
Yeah.
using to reach my vision. No ego, no anything aside. If I don't reach that vision, I'm marginalizing my vision, ego or whatever. So I try to work with people that don't have
Yeah.
egos. Everyone has one, but I try to work with people that don't have erosive egos. They have supportive egos.
I mean, it's when you are in the studio with some artists, depending on the level. I think the most important thing is to enjoy and making a teamwork and without ego stuff, and of course respecting the artist side. I know that you have been honored and nominated with many awards and credits. What is the next goal
Yeah.
that you would like to achieve in your career?
Let's be fair. It's really fun winning awards, right? But I also know what awards are,
Mm.
and I know why they're given, and I know why the events are thrown. And they're money-making events, the Grammys, the Oscars. Yes, you can be really recognized for beautiful work, but also you can be snubbed because someone's more famous or they have a best friend. And so to me, awards don't matter that much. They're fun to get. They're fun to show your mom. So you say, Mom, I did it. Moved to Hollywood. I got an award. I try to enjoy the process of every day because the awards, there's no people ask, "Oh, you're really successful, Dylan." I feel like I just got started. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? No, I'm just still learning. Like, and I mean that. So there's no end to the process. And if you don't enjoy the process, getting up, doing this, but if you don't enjoy the process and the people that you
Yes,
live
yes,
that process
definitely,
with,
definitely.
you're doing the wrong thing in anything, in your work, in your life, in your marriage, in your relationships. If you're not enjoying the process
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
most of the time, can't enjoy it all the time, then maybe you're doing the wrong thing. Probably never going to get a Grammy. I don't care.
Such a wise words, Dylan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, and appreciate you. All right, brother. We'll see you later.
Mix Talks. Mix it, talk it.